Hello everyone, I'm Neeyati Satgounda, data science intern at AINE AI. During internship, I worked on statistical analysis and hypothesis testing. The project involves working on a dataset to Cookie Cats, a hugely popular puzzle game. As player progresses through levels of the game, they will occasionally encounter gates that force them to wait a non-trivial amount of time. So I think most of us played some games. So there had some gates, like after collecting specific amount of points or coins, you are able to move forward. Or another option is we have to wait for some time. So during whole project, my main aim was to help company CEO to take decision regarding where to put that gate at level 30 or at level 40, so that the players will play that game and company will gain more and more revenue. So here I imported all the required library. Here I mainly use the statistics library for Shapiro and Levin's test. Now moving towards the data reading and initial processing. Using the pandas read CSV function, I imported my CSV file. After imported the file, I check the data types of each variable, and after that I use the shape function to see how many observations are present in my data set. After that I use head function to look the format of my data. So here you can say that using the d types function I am able to see the variable user ID is of integer type, version is of object, sum game rounds is again an integer, retention 1 and retention 7 is boolean data type. And using the shape function I am able to see that there are 90189 rows and 5 columns, and here is the glance of my data set. Like the data set is looking like this, with the column user ID, version, some game rounds. Some game rounds implies how many levels the player played. Retention 1 and retention 7 retention 1 implies after installation of the game he will play or not after 1 day. Same with the retention 7, after 7 days he is playing or not, he or she is playing or not the game. So after that I check the missing values or there are any outliers in my data. So to check duplicate I define one function with name check duplicate, and there is a one argument for this function. So if the length of my set is equals to length of that parameter, so there will be a no duplication. So here I am getting the no duplication element, so there is a no duplication of any user ID. Here I have identified one outlier, so only one player played a lot of levels of that game. So as there is only one player, so I dropped that one player using the drop command in Python, and after removing that player you can see that the visual is more clear, like most of the players play the game at level 500. Here you can see that. So after pre-processing with the data part, I check how many players played the game after 7 days. So there are only 16,780 players from 90,188. So after calculating the exact count, I converted it to a percentage, and here you can see that overall 7 days retention rate of the game for both the version is 18.61. so here I am not calculated the retention rate separately for like game version 30 and version 40. Version 30 implies game level at 30, gate at level 30, and version 40 implies gate at 40. So after calculating the percentage, I check the sum game rounds is equals to 0, which implies players are just installed the game but not played single round. So there are such a 3,994 players. Now I checked as the level progresses, the number of user decreases. So I check to answer this question. I check that as the game difficulty increases, players are decreasing. After that, I plot this data on a graph, and here we can see that after playing 200 levels, the count of player is negligible. So here I checked for two groups of players to understand if there is a difference in 7 days retention rate and total number of game round played. So from the cross tab, we can say that from the above cross tab we can conclude that only 19.02% of the players are active after 7 days in gate 30 type, and 18.20% players are active in gate 40 type. So here is the summary for different game versions, and we can conclude that there is no much difference in both types of game. Most of the players on an average played 51 game rounds, that is 51 level till 51st level from both the category players played the game. Now here starts the statistical analysis part starts. So I grouped the data in two parts. In group A there is with version A. First I renamed gate 30 with A and gate 40 with B using the replace function in Python. After replacing, I made two data frames for group A and group B, and I count how many players are there who played the version A and version B, and after that, to check the normality between them, I applied Shapiro test, and you can see the p-value is less than 0.05. We have sufficient evidence to reject H0, that is both the sample distribution is not normal. And then I moved to test of homogeneity of variance using the Leven's test, and here the p-value is greater than 0.05. Here fails to reject H0, that both game type have equal level of variance. So to again I used Mann-Whitney U-test to check two samples are equal or not, and as the p-value is less than 0.05, we have sufficient evidence to reject H0, which implies both the samples have different distribution. Here we are able to prove statistically both the samples are different from each other. which is also observed in here, like user user who played version A are 44,699, and with version B there are 45,489. This is the case I proved using statistics man u test. And as you can see that retention rate for version A is slightly more than version B. So my final recommendation to the company CEO that put the gate at level 30 instead of level 40, so that the more and more players will play the game. So to check the average number in both the case, how players played in both the category, I use bootstrap sampling. So to calculate bootstrap sampling mean, I define function myBoot with one argument, and here you can see that the average value for both the level is 51. Like from both the category, players are most likely to play till level 51. Yeah, that's it. Thank you everyone.